we're going to cover how we're thinking about generating more direct demand. So I think it's pretty helpful for me, first of all, to start off with defining what I mean by that. So what I mean by direct demand is that someone comes to you, to your business, to your website, and voluntarily fills in a form to find out more information, or for a free trial, or to access your product. And they're doing that, off with their own choice, and they're coming to you directly, and it has not been manufactured in any way by you pushing your agenda on them, essentially. So that's what I mean by true direct demand. And now I wanted to talk about like how we're thinking about this at Cognism. So this is a diagram of kind of the split from the old way we did things and the new way we're trying to do things. So on the left-hand side, you can see how we ran our funnels before. So we would run always on content ads, predominantly on LinkedIn, where we would gate some of our top performing content assets and run lead gen forms over the top, generate those leads, and then pass them through to our marketing development reps in the sales team, who would put those leads through a cadence and follow up with them to book them into a meeting to show them the Cognism platform. And those leads we would be generating around sort of between $15 and $20 a lead, and would be converting them at around sort of 10 to 13% from lead to meeting booked. So not bad and very predictable for us. So we know how many marketing qualified leads we need to deliver to an MDR for them to return to us 16 sales qualified opportunities in a month, which is the target. And then we know what the conversion rates we're going to get from those sales qualified opportunities into revenue. And so it's a very scalable and predictable channel, and it is working well. But that being said, I think, the role of any marketing leader is to really be thinking about the future and your goals for the company and scaling, and looking at channel exhaustion and how can you always find efficiencies and try to do things better. So one thing that was really clear to me, and I mean, I'm sure it's clear to everyone in their data, is that those demo requests that come to the website and come to you are converting at a far higher rate than those where you are pushing them through your funnel when they haven't actually said that they're ready to talk. And we are converting those at a rate of lead to meeting booked to 45%. So that's 45% versus that 10% or best case 13% we were talking about earlier from the content downloads. So there can be no doubt that if we can generate more of these types of leads, we are going to be more efficient, more effective, save time for our sales teams, and overall have a better marketing engine. Easier said than done though. So then it was a case of, okay, so we know where we want to get to, so how do we do that? And it was about kind of recalibrating the way we think about marketing and the tactics that we're utilizing. And rather than thinking of gating our best content assets, we were thinking about how can we actually get our target audience to engage with those and read them, because we know that's the kind of content we want them consuming, and that's the kind of content that's more likely to generate us those direct demands, demo requests from that audience than, for example, gating it. And then we wanted to think about how could we build out funnels so that we can be still pushing people through a buyer funnel, as it were, or engagement funnel, and educating them at the stage in the journey that we feel they are at. So we're thinking about this in terms of building retargeting audiences on these ad platforms natively. You can do it via landing page views or video views, and then serving them more bottom of the funnel content, such as product video snippets, testimonials, and use cases. Right now, in the current state, as it shows on the slide, we were doing 100% of the strategy on the left and 0% of the strategy on the right. As it is in the current state, we've actually had a couple of very good months. So we've got a very strong pipeline. So we have our sales team are happy. There's no sort of crying out for leads, and opportunities are looking really strong, and so is the revenue. So we have bought ourselves some time to experiment, and bought ourselves a bit of our budget to experiment. So we kind of earned this right to try. So what we're doing now is we've shifted and we're doing 65% of the left and 35% of the right. So we're putting budget into this ungated content, pushing it to our target audience, and then we're building these funnels within the ad platforms to retarget those that are engaging with that content with these more bottom of the funnel product videos and testimonials and use cases, and with the end goal of being that we would generate more direct demand within that audience. So how can you measure that? We're going to come on to that later, and I'll show you the way in which I'm thinking about it, but I didn't want to get caught up on the problem of how am I going to directly attribute back this paid activity to ungated content to the final result of direct demand. So future state, how I'd like to see us working is that we'd actually shift and have 65% on the right hand side and only like 35% or even less depending on results on the left hand side tactic. In this new world, it's a mindset shift. So you're moving from that idea of pushing people into your funnel prematurely after a content download or something similar, and moving to generating more of that direct intent demand. And there are some considerations, and I think in terms of framing this approach to your leadership or whoever it may be when you want to discuss pivoting into this sort of strategy, this data shows it quite clearly for us, but we had to activate this campaign to see this data. So it's a case of thinking about what are you willing to pay to get that content that you've spent so much time and energy producing in front of your target audience, and to build the awareness within that audience of you as a brand, and you as a brand as a thought leader, and you as a brand who delivers really valuable and meaningful content to them. Now we can see on the top, this is a table from 3 of our always on LinkedIn lead gen ads running off always on content, gated content. Now we have a fairly good cost per lead, like I was saying, around the $20 mark, and we can generate very regular leads through this. But there is no denying, when you looked at the 2 bottom campaigns, which are our awareness campaigns, the cost that we get per impression and per engagement with that content is significantly lower. So we're talking 0.03, 0.04, and we're seeing this across all of the campaigns. So there is an amazing difference in the cost that you're looking at when you pivot the target of your campaign and the amount of people you're then able to get that content in front of. So change in mindset. Old way, get your best content now to turn those leads into revenue later at a rate around 10 to 13%. New way, give away the most valuable content consistently now. Consistently is really important. And pay to get it in front of your target audience for the result in longer term benefits. That 45% conversion from those direct demo requests, which we're hypothesizing will generate more of if we do this consistently and effectively. So the next stage is, okay, we're going to do this, that's great, but what sort of content do we use? I've just broken this down into like 3 of the types that we've been using at the moment. We are obviously still very much testing all of this and measuring what's most effective, but these are 3 things that are working currently for us. I thought I'd share them with you. On the left-hand side, you've got an example of a template which we've produced. It's the actual marketing budget that I use for my CFO, and we've produced a template and we're giving that away, completely ungated access to that to our audience on LinkedIn. And that's performing really well, and we're generating very good cost per landing page views on that. In the middle, this is an example of a podcast that I had. It was a conversation I had with Chris Walker on a podcast that we run called Revenue Champions. And what we decided to do was create snippets and break up that podcast because Chris gave us some amazing insights, and to serve them up as ads on LinkedIn and Facebook. The idea being we wanted to give as much value in feed and less requirement to click out of feed to gain that insight. And so that was kind of that's what we're going for with this. And then on the right hand side is an example of an ad we've made, a snippet from a webinar that we ran. This one specific snippet is how to find the relevant companies within a prospect target account. And you can see the amazing engagement we've had on this. And so it's, had we not snippeted up this webinar and paid to run this ad on LinkedIn to our target audience, these people would never have probably seen this content. And we would have only got out to about the 200 people that attended that webinar. So I think it's just a very good example of how much more awareness and engagement you can generate when you think about content differently and you start distributing it in a different way. So that's the kind of content we're running on that top of funnel piece to these target audiences through our awareness channels on LinkedIn and Facebook. And then when it comes to building these audiences out who are retargeting, so we're retargeting the video viewers or the landing page viewers, types of, and a little tip, if you have video content, I would recommend prioritizing that first, because you do get far larger audiences on a retargeting basis from video views versus landing page views, and it's cheaper as well to generate. So that would be my piece of advice. But back to the kind of content we're using for those retargeting audiences, what we're calling phase 2 awareness, is we're looking at, this is like sort of 3 examples here, but on the right hand side you have a snippet from another webinar we ran for our customers where we were talking about a very specific function of our product. It was how to search for a prospect, build a list, push to campaign, generate the contact data, and then push it into your CRM. And we've just been able to create a snippet out of this and create the video and run it through our awareness channels as a retargeting audience on Facebook and LinkedIn. In the middle, we've got an example of us promoting a free tool that we've created, which is actually the search functionality of our product. And again, we wanted to try out the engagement with this free tool when we were using it from a retargeting perspective of people where you've served relevant content further up the funnel and who have engaged with that. And on the left-hand side, it's one of those testimonial ads. So it's pain point led and then social proof with a testimonial. So these are 3 things that we're trying out at the moment.